greatest sports car manufacturers of all time. It's been around for 75 years, and when I think about Ferrari, I think of Enzo, the Prancing Pony, Italy, Formula One, Schumacher, 250 GTO, the Tifosi, Miami Vice, and Magnum PI. But when you ask people what their favorite Ferrari is, most reply with just 3 characters: F40. The F40 is the heavyweight, the analog machine, the poster car, the Ferrari, the big thing. These are the poster cars on your wall. Now, let's take a closer look at them. Go for a drive. Find out what makes them so special and why they are the big thing. For me, the Ferrari F40 is a top 5 poster car on your wall for sure. It's what dreams are made of. It's what a supercar looks like in every way. Then add the way it sounds and makes you feel, it's an adrenaline rush. It left me tingling the first time I drove one down in Miami back in 2017. A memorable drive that ended up on the side of Key Biscayne Causeway with a cop car flashing its lights right behind me as a rather unamused Miami police officer approached the car and asked for the title and registration, neither of which I had. Thankfully, I drove away sometime later after what seemed like a lifetime with just a caution. Having had the pleasure of some seat time on 2 separate occasions, it doesn't disappoint. From the moment you open the door, step over the carbon sill and slide into that fabric-covered bucket seat, you know it's something special. It's raw in a race car way, but familiar and unintimidating to anyone that's driven a Ferrari of this era. It's all business with only the important things you need: 3 pedals, a gated shifter, Momo steering wheel, and no fussy computers, switches or controls. That's about it. It's not even cramped inside. Turn the key, push the start button, blip the throttle, and it roars into life in an instant, without hesitation. Push the rather heavy clutch down, click back the polished shifter, blip the throttle again, and ease the clutch out to the biting point, and you're on your way. It's that easy to make your dreams a reality. Visibility is great, and up to this point, it's little different to my experience behind the wheel of my old 75 308 GT4 Dino. But those similarities rapidly disappeared once I kept my foot down in that familiar pedal-to-the-metal way, guided the shifter through the steel gate, and experienced the explosive push once those twin turbos kicked in, feeding huge amounts of rapid power and torque, which the rear tires struggled to cope with. There's no traction control here. Sure, the F40 is fast and the stats don't lie, but here in LA, the car culture capital, you're more likely to see one cruising down the streets of Hollywood, so I decided to skip the icy mountains of Angeles Crest Highway and head to another set of hills, Beverly Hills, to drive the car in its real-world environment, past the glitzy designer luxury goods stores on Rodeo Drive and the bright lights of the surrounding streets, to get a feel for how usable it is in real-world situations, and to see if it still turns heads and gets all the attention. Before they were hypercars, they were supercars. And for me, this is the most recognizable of all of them, the Ferrari F40. By the early 80s, critics of the Ferrari brand cried that the cars from Maranello had become watered down, soft, too luxurious, and not deserving to wear the Prancing Pony emblem. Old man Enzo, 88 years old at the time, was set in his ways. He never flew on a plane or took an elevator, but he knew what he liked and wanted. He wanted Ferrari to return to its roots of building race cars for the road.
Prima di tutto, a Gran Turismo la prende uno che vuole differenziarsi dagli altri, chiedere alla vettura delle prestazioni istantanee che non può avere su altre macchine.
It was the last car that Enzo Ferrari was personally involved in. The development of the car would take an unheard of and fast turnaround from start to finish of 11 months. However, the F40 wasn't crafted from a blank slate. It was based on the 288 GTO Evo, of which 5 cars were built to go Group B rallying. Unfortunately, the famous Group B series was cancelled before the 5 cars were finished, and the decision was made to use one of the cars for the basis of the track-focused road car, the F40. Built on a tube-framed chassis and wrapped in a carbon fiber and bonded Kevlar, the impressively sexy-looking car tipped the scales at under 3,000 pounds. The 2.9-litre V8 twin-turbo cranked out 471 brake horsepower and an impressive 426 foot-pound of torque. Transmitted through a 5-speed manual gearbox, the F40 would be fast, real fast. The downturned front nose and fixed rear wing gave the F40 the aerodynamics it needed to achieve a top speed Ferrari claimed at 201 miles an hour, making it the fastest production car on the planet. Well, on paper at least. In reality, nobody outside of Ferrari has ever gotten the car to that speed. But that's Ferrari for you. All this, and it just happened to be the 40th anniversary of Ferrari as well. Timing really is everything.
It came out at the height of 80s success, of glitz and glamour, style, fashion and fame. And the angular wedgy looks, big wing, knacker ducts and pop-up headlights just tick all of those boxes. A lot of these cars today have ended up in places like this, the city of Beverly Hills. Famous for being famous. Let's not forget, LA is the car culture capital of the world. Probably more Ferraris here than anywhere else, so chances are, as rare as this car is, someone's probably seen one in Beverly Hills. And I have to say, for me, one of the greatest things about it is how usable it is. Visibility is great, it's easy to modulate the clutch, the gate shift snickety clickety click click is super familiar, and at these speeds it's just a joy to drive, to cruise. It's not always about the speed of going from A to B, it's about the journey.
Century City is on the west side next to Beverly Hills, but no one really lives there. It's where most of the agents, attorneys, doctors, lawyers, managers and entertainment companies are. Think CAA and Ari Gold from Entourage, along with the Twin Towers building the Bruce Willis movie Die Hard made Century City famous. The F40 proved to be usable in a calm and comfortable manner that few hypercars of today could. By this I mean it's just the right size and scale that visibility is good, and it's not too long or wide that it causes you concern on the road. It's not intimidating to operate in a way a Porsche Carrera GT may be, or so long that you worry about every maneuver in the way you may in a Maserati MC12. The F40 is the type of car you take on a Saturday night in Hollywood to get a bite to eat at your favorite deli or diner.
It is amazing though, wherever I've gone with it tonight, it still turns heads. You've got to remember this car debuted almost 35 years ago. Ferrari will be celebrating its 75th anniversary next year. And what better place to be than behind the wheel of what I think is one of Ferrari's greatest ever road cars. So it's time to break out of Beverly Hills and see what the F40 is like on the twisted canyon road, the spine that runs across LA, Mulholland Highway. It seems the more you push the F40, the more it really comes alive.
With 1,311 cars made, the F40 is not the rarest Ferrari, but that will never stop it being one of the most desirable Ferraris ever made. Built for the 40th anniversary of Ferrari, it's a rocket ship for the road that engages all of your senses long after you turn the car off. Unlike the Testarossa of the same time period, which is more of a GT luxury car than the bare-bones F40. The F40 was wilder in appearance than its predecessor, the 288 GTO Evo, and it certainly paved the way for the F50, Enzo, and LaFerrari. So why does the F40 matter? And why is it the big thing? Well, keep the car on boil and catch the boost just right, and it's all golden. It's a real driver's car. When you drive it, nothing else matters. It's the only thing that matters. It makes you feel special, makes you feel like a race car driver. It's everything you need and nothing you don't. It's Enzo's last car. It's the greatest of all time. It's the big thing.